requesting the President to provide certain documents.
Without objection, the first reading of the bill will be dispensed with. The bill is now considered as read. And without objection, the bill is considered as read and open for amendment at any point. Are there any members seeking recognition to speak on HRES 1265? Mr. Tonko? Oh, Mr. Duncan, do you want to start? Yes. Mr. Duncan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move to strike the last word.
Gentleman is recognized for 5 minutes.
I'm speaking in support of House Resolution 1265, which I offer to provide transparency to the Biden administration's exploitation of the current energy crisis to further pursue their radical climate agenda. This committee's job is to conduct oversight over all matters that fall under its jurisdiction. The affordable, reliable delivery of energy is part of this. And since we're facing the worst energy crisis since 1973, requesting documents related to this crisis is definitely warranted. Rahm Emanuel said, never let a crisis go to waste. But this energy crisis was created by the Joe Biden administration. President Biden has called this energy crisis and record high retail prices part of an incredible transition away from oil and gas. Secretary Granholm's solution for Americans who can't afford to fill up their tank is just go buy an electric car for $50,000. Affordable, reliable energy is the foundation to everything in our lives. And keep in mind, there's no national security without energy security. Instead of prioritizing energy security of Americans, President Biden, with the help of congressional Democrats, is just finishing a 2-year attempt to wipe out America's energy sector, delivering a campaign promise revealed in a debate to do just that. He's been doing this through regulations and actions that raise prices, all in the name of combating global climate change. Regardless of the plain facts that this will harm people, undermine energy security, stifle our economy, and boost our adversaries. Yet when Americans see how these policy actions cause harm, when they see crisis in Europe, when they see policies intensify inflation and an energy crisis at home, the administration talks and talks to obscure the truth of their plans. This resolution cuts through all that rhetoric. It exercises congressional responsibility to spotlight what the administration is really up to provide the documents that will show the public the facts, the actual plans and strategies. Congress should have all the documents related to a strategy or plan to issue executive actions, federal policies, or regulations that in any way could be used to drive any energy prices higher. As mentioned earlier, President Biden's commitment to put the American oil and gas industry out of business at the consumer's expense started way back on his campaign trail. When he was asked in a presidential debate if there would be any place for fossil fuels in his administration, he responded, no. We would make sure it's eliminated. His administration has made good on that promise, delivering a whole government approach to phase out the industry. President Biden immediately revoked the permit for the Keystone XL pipeline, halted all new oil and gas lease sales on federal lands, and just last week, the Department of Interior caved to environmental groups challenging the environmental review on lease sale held in 2019 and 2020, effectively halting that development. His war against oil and gas is multi-pronged. He's weaponized FERC to slow walk infrastructure permitting and turned the SEC into a climate change enforcer. His relentless attack from all angles appears to be a clear and coordinated effort to manufacture an energy crisis. We're in an energy crisis manufactured by the Biden administration. Instead of a policy taking ownership with the buck stops here, as past presidents have, Biden has one of deflection and passed the buck. My resolution requests all documents related to this plan to blame President Vladimir Putin for record high energy prices. Despite President Biden's deflection, this is not the Putin price hike. Gas prices were already up by 55% from the day Biden took office and even before Russia invaded Ukraine. So no deflection, no pass the buck, take blame for it. Finally, my resolution requests all documents related to the administration's plan to ban crude oil exports. To be clear, Republican leader Rogers, myself, and others have opposed sending our emergency reserves to a foreign adversary. We've offered amendments and bills to prohibit the sale of our spore to China. This is different than banning oil exports across the board, which would destroy American jobs, lead to even higher energy prices. The Biden administration has advocated for a total ban, which would raise prices at the pump and give Putin even more global influence. After Congress lifted the ban on oil exports, America became energy dominant. energy dominant. Oil production surged to 13 million barrels per day. Gasoline prices remain below $2.50. America became a net energy exporter for the first time in 2019. We're able to push back against OPEC and Russia. It's simple. Democrats are playing politics with this country's energy crisis. Democrats want higher gas prices. They can push their magical agenda of wind, solar, and EVs for all. Meanwhile, American families are choosing between filling their tank and feeding their families. They're hurt by the energy prices caused by this administration. There are documents out there that show this was a coordinated effort. It's well past time to examine the energy crisis and the role of this administration, lift the curtain on the work, and get behind the deceptive talks and serve the American people. So I urge this committee to report this resolution of inquiry favorably so we can find out the truth behind the administration energy crisis. With that, I yield back.
Thank the gentleman. Recognize Mr. Tonko for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to strike the last word.